Hey, hello. It is. Oh my
Wow.
goodness. Yeah.
We
All
might
right.
have
I'm
to
going to
restart
retake
that
it.
one.
We're going to retake it. Only the YouTube people will know it was a second
Yes,
start. I got all choked up, Alex. We're making an announcement. All right, here
we
we go.
are.
Right. Hey, hello. It is the Go Birds podcast presented by the Bet Park Sportsbook and Casino app. And it is a special pod, a special announcement pod, Elliot. We've been teasing this for a while. We wanted to do
Yes.
this last year, but we wanted to make sure we had some time for everyone to plan, to get ready and all of that. But I feel like August 10th, I feel like that gives people time, right? To plan
Enough
for the
time.
Go Birds trip, right?
Yes.
So
Well, it's
it's
funny.
time.
We have so many different types of pods: emergency pods, the gambling pods, post game pods, preview pods, regular pods, WIP hits. This is maybe the pod I've been looking forward to the most. And I love training camp pods, but this is a year in the making. We wanted to maybe do it last year. Unfortunately, it couldn't happen. We've been working on all off season to pick like the perfect game, make sure we have like the perfect setup. And it's finally here. I'm almost like nervous to say it. I don't know how
I
to get
know.
into it.
I know. I'm so excited. And it's honestly not just a year in the making. It's really been years in the making.
Yes.
Like basically, the last 2, 3 years of the pod, it's been Elliot, going to games and talking to me about seeing real ones in the lots and like
Yes.
partying with people and everyone saying, "Where's Seltzer? Where's Seltzer? Oh, we got to get the Go Birds crew together." And it's like crushed me because I want to be like this is as Elliot will attest to, and anyone who's met me will attest to, like that's my happy place.
Yes.
Like with the fans out and about, like just drinking, hanging, getting excited. Like that's my favorite place in the world,
And I've said this before, but I think it's especially appropriate to say now. Like when I worked at NJ.com before I got hired by WIP, obviously it was on Twitter. I would see people at home games if I was walking into the press box. But the best part of working at WIP, other than obviously getting to do a pod with you, is that I get so much more time to interact and like meet the people that are Eagles fans and listen to the station. And to what you're talking about, there's not an away game that goes by where I don't text you and I'm like, yo, the pregame, there's so many real ones here. There's so many pod listeners. And as cool as it is to see people at training camp and at home games and everything, there is nothing like seeing people out on the road. So I am really hoping we can get like all the real ones, all the auto downloaders to come with us on our trip this year.
On our trip this year, where Elliot and I will both be going. We'll be there all weekend hanging out. We'll tell you all the details of the trip. But Elliot, I think it's time. I mean,
just say
enough suspense. I'm going to say 2 words and everyone's going to know where we're going. And I'm going to say it there and I'll say it to anyone who will listen. Dallas sucks. We're going to Dallas,
there
baby.
It is. There it is. As it is the best one we could have possibly picked. The timing, we're going to get into all that in a second. But you going to Dallas is like what the pod has been made for. I know. In Dallas yelling, "Dallas sucks." I will guarantee you, if you come on this trip, anyone, like James will probably be the first thing he says to you. He'll be like, "Yo, hey, what's up? Thanks for coming. Dallas sucks." Like, "Hey, our flight is at like C9. Dallas sucks. Hey, the hotel looks like it's really sick. What are you doing for dinner? Let's get a drink. Dallas sucks." Like that is going. You might set a world record for saying it on this trip.
I'm so excited, man. I mean, my 2 favorite phrases, and that's the, our favorite thing about the pod name, and like, because Go Birds is a thing, and especially when you're away, when you're away from Philadelphia and you see someone in an Eagles shirt or an Eagles hat, it's like Go Birds. It's like what you do. It's, a way of saying hello, a way of communicating, a way of sharing a moment with someone. And, on these away trips, I'm sure there's tons of Go Birds going around. I get to actually do Go Birds and Dallas sucks on the trip. Like, it's like so wheelhouse for us.
And let me say this, and this is not going to be in tune with the Dallas sucks thing, but I have been to the new Dallas stadium like 4 or 5 times. And look, people don't want to hear this, but I'm just going to be honest. It is something you need to see. Like it is the cool is maybe not the right word, but just like, it's like an amusement park. It's like pristine. It's like wait till you guys see it. So I think when we picked this trip, we wanted to pick a good game, B, a location that a lot of people could get to. Obviously, it's just like, the center of the country. So our West
and
Coast
it's a huge stadium too. Huge so there's extra tickets, all that stuff.
And look, it's the Cowboys. Like it is Eagles Cowboys in Dallas. And it's going to be sick. It's a game that's going to have a ton of playoff implications. It's a game they're going to need to win. And it's a game that everyone's going to look forward to all year. And here's the other thing I'll say about this. So we're going to Dallas. As you know, all the trips that I go on and all the trips, like really that WIP goes on in general, are with fans of Philly. Fans of Philly. When I started working at WIP, I immediately started going with them. Joe is the fans of Philly guy. He's become one of my good friends. We text all the time. Like, it is a true family atmosphere on these trips. But what I like the most about the Dallas trip is he has done it, like, I think 5 times now, 4 or 5 times. He knows how to do Dallas. Like, he is going to, the flights are going to be sick. The hotel is going to be sick. The accommodation, he has a Saturday night pep rally normally, a Sunday tailgate, obviously, all you can drink, all you can eat, all those things. And he does awesome with every trip. And I'm not just saying this, like, I text you this and like, it's 1,000% how I feel. But the Dallas trip, he has down and ready to go. So if you're going to go on an Eagles trip this year, this will be my sales pitch. So quick side note. Before I started this job out of college, I did sales for a year. I did digital sales for a newspaper. And as you can tell by the fact I'm doing this, I wasn't the best salesman in the world. But let me make my sales pitch. If you're listening to the pod, you're going to go on a trip this year. It's Eagles Dallas. It's the Go Birds pod. It's me. It's you. It's the best trip of the year, in my opinion, the best game. Look at the other trips. Like, LA's overrated. The stadium, it's a nice trip, but ultimately, like, Dallas is the one you want to go to. And Joe knows how to do it. And I'm super pumped. I really hope we get a lot of people to come.
Yeah. And so we're going to have Joe on in the coming weeks so he can really tell you all the trip entails. But Elliot's been on it. Elliot's done it. He's been to these pep rallies. And look, let's be real. Yeah, like, they're playing in Kansas City and that's cool. It was a Monday night game. Like, that was not an option for the Go Birds pod trip. Like,
yes,
there are certain things that we couldn't do, but like, in all honesty, when I really thought about it, and I there are, some cool cities and stuff, but like, there was no other place.
Yeah,
the first Go Birds. Look, and we're hoping this becomes an annual thing. Like, next year we'll do something different and hopefully we can keep this going. But like it had to be Dallas. Like, It's going to hit different in Dallas. The Go Birds thing is going to hit different in Dallas. It's like, it's just part of the heart of the pod. Like, honestly, I would have felt weird going anywhere else. Like, when we talked about it, we like tried to think of other things. We tried to really like do like pros and cons for everything. And we just kept coming back to Dallas. Like, we're like, no, like, honestly, it's just, this is the trip for this year for the first annual, hopefully, Go Birds pod trip.
So I see our guy Drew in the comments. He says he was planning his trip to Seattle, but thinking about Dallas now. Drew, you have to come to Dallas.
Drew, you got to come to Dallas.
Yeah, you got to come to Dallas. Yeah, so I'm looking at some of the details now. So the game is on December 10th. We're going to leave Friday, come back Monday. I believe it's a Sunday night game.
It is a Sunday night game.
It's a Sunday night game.
In front of the world, another fun thing to do.
Yes.
Especially like if we all show up, like, we're going to be on TV in front of the world, showing Eagles, showing the world that Eagles fans are awesome, like we always do.
All right. And this is what I was going to say, but I forgot. As someone that is at every Eagles away game, there are certainly people, like, obviously I would guess a lot of people that just go by themselves, them and a friend, they plan the trip by themselves. As someone that's not a confrontational person, and there won't be confrontations there, but let me tell you, going into an away team stadium, it is just way better when you do it with like 400 people and you all walk in together. You're in the same section. You're not like sitting in the middle of Dallas fans. It's not like you buy your ticket and you get there and all of a sudden it's like cowboy, 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 you and your 2 friends. And then like you'll be around Eagles fans. I like, this whole thing aside, I cannot recommend more to anybody that if you go to an Eagles away game, do it with a group like this. It makes it way better. The tailgate, you're not like tailgating outside of your rent-a-car in the parking lot. Joe rents out like massive places. I saw he's going to have Texas barbecue, a DJ, all you can drink. Like, this is the way to do it. And we will be there. Like, we are going to be on your flight. We are going to be at the pregame thing on Saturday night. We'll be at the tailgate. Like, we'll be at your hotel. So I'm like super, super pumped for this.
Yeah, I'm happy you phrased it that way. Like, the whole point is to go with you guys. Like, yes, exactly. I'm not going because I care to go to the game or to this or that. Like, we're going to hang out with real ones. Like that is the number one with a bullet and a star reason for this trip. Like that's the reason we're doing it. It's to hang out with you. Literally, like that's it. I can't put it any simpler. Like we're doing it to hang out with you guys. And also to Elliot's point, like not only is it fun to go in with a bunch of fans, but like, you know, if you go to Kansas City and Eagles fans will show up there, but like Kansas City fans are good fans. Like they'll show up, they'll be at the stadium, like they'll be loud too. Like we will own this stadium. Like Dallas is fair weather fans. Like that's the awesome thing to be a part of too.
Yes. And so as James mentioned, like we did talk about other trips. We kept coming back to Dallas as the ultimate one. It's December, so maybe a nice little Christmas present for, you know, maybe you and your significant other, if that's what you're thinking. But this is a small detail I just noticed. I didn't tell James this, but I think it just shows yay. All right. So at the hotel that we're staying at in Fort Worth, awesome area, bars and all that. There's a bar in the hotel, and it is called Whiskey and Rye. And me and James' favorite drink is whiskey. So we will come, we will drink whiskey. What's funny is whenever people see me out, I like buy them drinks. And Kristen's always like, you know, you're spending so much money doing this. But if the bar is named Whiskey, we're in Dallas on a real one trip, there will be plenty of shots to go around. And it's a night game the next day, so we can sleep in Sunday morning.
Which is take it off huge. That is such a great point. And let me just tell you, you know, inside baseball and all that, Elliot and I are both super happy, super lovey drunks. Like when we're drinking, we are the happiest people in the world. Like if you ever, like, I don't know if you're a hugger or not. I'm a hugger. I know some people aren't. I know some people aren't. And my wife has been very good about making sure to tell me that person's not a hugger, don't hug them. You know, I'll know. But like, if you want a hug, I will be so happy to give you one. Like we will be. It's going to be like a real joyous time. And the whole point again is to hang out with everyone. And this is such a perfect way to do it. Doing this trip together again, point on the same flight, we can hang at the airport, the whole thing. So, we're thrilled, man. We're so excited. Thank you to Joe from Fans of Philly. Again, we will have Joe on in the coming weeks so we can really give you the details if you're on the fence about it, which you shouldn't. You should be looking up Fans of Philly right now.
Yes,
booking
Drew
the trip.
Said he's already closed his tab. Drew said he closed his tab looking at Seattle flights. So
that's what I'm talking
we need
about.
Everyone there. Yes.
Yeah. And to Elliot's point before, like this is in between. Like we wanted to make sure we know that we have a lot of listeners in Philly, but we also, one of the cool things about Go Birds, and you know it, you listen to shows like Justin in Tennessee calling in, or we get, you know, Adam in Wales, we get all these people all over the place, and you know, maybe Wales a bit of a hike to come over. But I do think that you know, I think it's nice to kind of give someone more central location stuff in Seattle, like as far from certain people as it could possibly
and this is, I keep saying it's my last sales pitch, but I really want people to come. So let me say one more thing. I know me personally, I get nervous about going places if I don't know people. Like I'm personable and all those things, but I prefer to go places where I know people. If you're listening to this and you're thinking like, oh, I'm only going to know Elliot, you are going to know people. Like it'll be people you hear on Go Birds Radio. It'll people in the comment section here, people in the Go Birds chat. So I guarantee you, if you come and you're like, it within 5 minutes, you're going to feel like you're literally like a frat party's not the right term, but like a party of Eagles fans. It is going to be unbelievable.
Such a great point. And we've seen it with our chat and with our, you know, like that was our favorite thing about the Super Bowl run. And I know we've talked about it a million times, but you know, we love the community that we have here and how it grew during that run and how like people in the chat were like, what's your Twitter? What's your number? What's your this? What's your like, and it's creating connections and friendships and things between something we all love. Like we all freaking love the Eagles with all our heart. And that's a beautiful thing to bring Eagles fans together. And to Elliot's point, if you come by yourself, like guess what? You're not by yourself. You're with all of us and it's going to be awesome. So, book the trip. Like just do it. It's going to be awesome.
Just do it.
We're going to have the best.
It's an affordable trip. You can pay in installments. Like we made sure this is affordable for everybody. So come on the trip. I have a final thought before we wrap this
up. So this is a tease here because coming up next, if you're watching the YouTube, don't go anywhere because it's going to happen as soon as it is done. But we thought the announcement itself deserved its own little mini pod, you know, so we're going to end this now, but we're going to do the Bet Parks Picks pod coming up right next with training camp reaction and gambling and all that. So it's coming up any second. And if it's in your feed, it'll be out right after this in the feed. So you'll be able to check it out. Go ahead. Final thought. I was not expecting double final thoughts, but well done.
And it's Dallas related. It's a Dallas related final
look thought. At you ready to roll, buddy.
Everyone talks about Dallas like it's a great football state. And I think there's an argument for it. But I don't
You
think
mean city. You mean city. Are you
sorry,
talking about
I'm
Texas, or is this
Texas,
a Texas? Okay,
Texas,
okay,
yeah,
gotcha,
Texas.
gotcha.
Everyone talks about Texas like it's a great football state. No one
Like
considers
the greatest. That's all they say. You know, it's
Right,
like, oh,
right.
football in Texas, Friday Night Lights.
So here would be my take, though. If you have two football teams like close to each other, I don't know how seriously I can take you. LA, right? Multiple teams. New York, multiple teams. I know Pennsylvania technically has multiple teams, but it's like a different world over on that
Oh
side.
yeah, Pittsburgh. It's a different.
Yeah.
Doesn't count. Yeah.
So look, I think we should go to Dallas. We should go to Texas with a healthy respect, but know that everybody's going in from the far superior football city and place.
Oh, well, I mean, that's a great point. And look,
Thank
I
you.
mean, Pennsylvania has a pretty storied history of football
It
as
does.
well. All right. And to
Although
your
I'll
point,
be 100% honest. When I first started this take, I forgot that Pennsylvania has two teams as well.
I know I could tell when you were
it's okay.
realizing it, and you're like,
Behind
oh,
the scenes baseball.
damn.
Yeah.
But I think it was important to say separated, by a lot.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
Houston and Texas are, I think, like 2 hours apart. That's much
Pittsburgh's
closer.
at least 5.
Same word.
5.
Yeah, exactly. So
great geography.
Great take.
I'll just get on the plane. It'll take me to Dallas. We'll see. I won't know where I'm going.
I was not ready with the final thought for this pod because I only have
I figured it was a good last one.
Which is basically just a Zoe quote. So tune in for a Zoe quote. But my final thought is book the freaking trip.
Yeah, book
coming out with us in Dallas. It's going to be awesome. All right. Coming up next, Bet Parks Picks Pod. Until then, which is not long, we're going to Dallas. He's Elliot M. James.
Boom.
All right.
Definitely forgot about Pittsburgh and Philadelphia.
That's all right. Everyone, come to freaking Dallas. It's gonna
come
be
to Dallas.
Awesome.
It's the middle pitch. Yeah.
If you're in the chat right now, you're a super real one. Come to Dallas. It's gonna be so awesome.
If you have any questions, DM me and I will answer. I've been on these trips. I can give you advice. I should have said this on the pod. But then also,
we could say at the top of the next pod. We could say at the top of the next pod.
All right, good.
Okay. And again, we'll have Joe on. So all right.
Yeah.
That's it. Hey, hello. It is the Go Birds podcast presented by the Bet Parks Sportsbook and Casino app. It's the Bet Parks Picks Pod. If you missed it on the last pod, we're going to Dallas, baby.
We're going
to Dallas. And if you missed on the last one, because everyone did, Elliot forgot to say something. So Elliot, go ahead.
Yeah. So look, you should be booking this trip to Dallas to come hang out with us. I want so many people at the bar. I want to do so many drinks with you guys. I want to talk Eagles. I want to talk about the pod. Like, I need everybody there.
Ask Elliot about his movie takes, about, I'll show you a picture of Zoe, like whatever. Yeah. We love it.
We can debate movie theaters. It'll be real fun. Things like that.
Yeah.
But I've been on all these trips. So, and Joe from Fans of Philly does do a great job. Like, I see him all the time on these trips, returning texts and calls and all that. But if you're thinking about doing it and have some questions, DM me and I will answer them the best of my ability to help out. And then also, if you book this trip and are coming, DM us and let us know so that we can get excited for it to see which people are coming, which real ones to look out for, and all those things. So the DMs are open. Let's be honest, James, not great with the DMs.
No.
I will take this over for both of us.
And just tell Elliot come and he'll tell me. It'll be great. It'll get me excited. And,
exactly.
And to the point of wondering more about the trip, we mentioned it last pod, but we will have Joe from Fans of Philly on in the near future so we can give you more details and more information about the trip. But again, book it. We're going. It's going to be awesome. We're going to hang with everybody. It's going to be super cool. All right. Bet Parks Picks Pod coming up in a little bit. We'll get into our football future gambling discussion like we've been talking about over the last few Bet Parks Picks pods.
There it is.
Yeah. No, before we started, Elliot had a Bet Picks Parks pod.
Yeah.
No, Bet Park. Yeah, that was right.
Bet Parks pod.
Yeah, Bet Picks Parks. I think you did instead of
Parks. It's a real, what's it called?
A tongue twister. A tongue twister. Yeah.
But no, I feel like there's an alliteration. Maybe.
Oh, well, that is alliterative when a lot of the letter, like same sounds essentially, but it's usually letters. But yes, but in terms of like that's a tongue twister. But we'll get to that in a little bit. But another day of practice. So some stuff to react to. Obviously, if you listen to yesterday's pod, you're probably like, well, were they sloppy again, Elliot? I need to know. Elliot, were they sloppy again today?
They were not. It was a cleaner practice today.
Quick turnaround.
So today's practice, to be completely honest, was without question the lightest and easiest of training camp so far. They are playing on Saturday. And I think because of that, you're seeing the players that are going to play get a lot more reps today. And also when they were at the link on Wednesday, they got mostly starters and Mariota got a ton of reps. So Jalen Hurts
and back-to-back days too, which they haven't done a ton.
days.
Yeah, exactly. This is the first time actually, right? They've done back-to-back days the whole time.
100%. So Jalen Hurts only took 10 reps. He normally takes 20, 25 around there. So a much lighter workload for him. He was 6 of 10, 1 touchdown. He should have had 3 touchdowns. There was one throw to Joseph Ngata, who got first team reps, by the way, which is definitely noteworthy. Joseph Ngata was wide open in the end zone, and Ngata's pretty tall, and Hurts just put it too high. He just sailed it. So that could have been 1 touchdown. And then he did have one to AJ Brown in the front of the end zone. Very easy catch, pass and catch or whatever. And then he didn't drop. There was one to AJ in the back of the end zone. From my perspective, it looked like AJ should have had it. It could have been a pass break if it was tight coverage. So should have had 3 touchdowns, only had 1. He is missing a little more throws that are easy than he used to. So, or I should say in the first few days of practice, not sounding the alarm or anything like that. But I think that's why you're seeing a bit of a lower completion percentage from him. Still has some impressive throws. He had 2 or 3 throws to Dallas Goedert today, who's having a very underrated camp. Like Goddard's been very good. But 2 or 3 throws, really tight windows, good coverage, just put it exactly where Goddard needed it on the numbers right in front of his hands. Like it was perfect throw. But just overall, 6 of 10, 1 touchdown, and just like a really light day. They didn't have pads on. It was drizzling. It was just like, not sunny out. So it felt like a light practice today.
Yeah, the Goddard thing's interesting. He was on the midday show on WIP with Joe and Hugh either earlier this week or last week. I think it was. Yeah, it was last week. And he had an interesting comment about, they asked what his goals were for this year, some version of that question. He was basically like, it was really like, it was a great outlook. 'Cause he was basically like, listen, I know I'm not going to get the most targets, that I know that we have really good guys out there with AJ and Devontae. He's like, so my big focus this year is converting the targets I get. He's like, I want my catch percentage. And I just thought like that, first of all, obviously like great thing to focus on, and he's pretty good at that already, but trying to get even better at converting everything that comes his way, which it seems like in camp he's doing a nice job of. But I also like that he's going into the season with that mentality of, like, listen, I know I'm not, even though like he's, arguably after Travis Kelce, the best receiving tight end in the league. Definitely top 3 or 4 without a doubt. I like that he's, that's the right mentality, to go in and be like, listen, I know I'm not going to be the number 1 guy on things, but when it comes my way, I'm going to convert on it.
Yep. And he had to your point about, obviously catching high percentage. I looked last year, he caught something like 79% of his targets.
He's really good at it already. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Travis Kelce, just for some perspective, caught 72%. I know it's a larger amount and all those things. This year in camp, let me look it up right here while I have it. Where is Goddard? Goddard, 22 catches on 28 targets with 2 touchdowns. So once again, catching a very large percentage.
Real quick, I never thought about this till right there. You obviously, I guess you transfer the notes into like a spreadsheet or something like that. I never thought about that, but of course you do. And you compile them. I just never thought about the mechanics of it. Cause I usually see you with the notepad that you come in with. Cause we're usually like, either in studio together or whatever. And you have the notepad. I love that. I just never thought about it. Oh, that'd be great. I love it.
I feel like maybe there is a way, but we
can figure it out when we're not potting. But regardless, love that. Very cool. Yeah. All right. So what else stood out today? Yeah, please.
So Mariota, it was weird. When I was watching him, I thought that he was definitely better at the link practice. He was good at the link practice, had some really nice throws. Today, watching him, maybe it was a little bit of like recency bias off yesterday. I thought he was pretty good today, but then when I looked at the end, he was 6 of 13, which is not great. Not a
so
great
it's
percentage.
Basically all relative. It was that
maybe just by his
look
standard
like a
now.
Disaster. Yeah.
Right. I think now whenever he completes a catch, I'm like, all right, that's a good day. He had a wide open touchdown to Olamide Zaccheaus. It looks like the coverage broke. He was wide open down the sideline. Mariota hit him. Again, like he still does miss some easy throws. Like in a 7-on-7 session, he was 1 for 4. This is the second time he's done that. And that's 7-on-7. That should not be happening. But yeah, I think he's improved somewhat. Like, so they're not having Brett Toth be the backup center anymore. And because of that, I think he's just getting better snaps out of the shotgun. He can be in the shotgun more. I think he's getting some better protection. So I think he's been somewhat better. Joseph Ngata, I know I brought him up a ton, but I want to bring him up again. That dude, man, he's having an awesome training camp. He has an NFL body, big size. He's probably like AJ Brown is the most physically imposing receiver on the roster just because like the dude is literally nothing but muscle. But Joseph and Ngata, if you just line them all up, like he's taller, he's still very big. He's not like a skinny tall guy. Like Dorial Green Beckham was kind of skinny. Like they have a guy they just signed, Jay King, that's tall but skinny. And Ngata has like some muscle and some meat on him. I think he really like could be something. Now, whether they'll keep him on the roster, we don't know. That's tough. We'll see how he does in preseason. We'll get into that in a second. They're playing their preseason game on Saturday. But I've been very impressed by him so far.
Yeah, it's great. I loved him coming out because of the name in the book I was reading and all that.
That's
so
right.
Great to hear. And look, we've talked.
Sign for him.
Yeah, I mean, that was why I was in from the jump. We have talked. I mean, it's a weird last name for Ngata to be drafted, and a Ngata to be one of the main characters of the books that I was in the middle of, like the 7th or 8th book. It's
book. It's you remember you said it was like when you never see a word and then you see it twice, and like that might have been a different final thought actually.
Yeah, I think that was I had the like the universe winking at you thought.
That was it.
I think where I had the Ronin thing. But look, we've talked a lot about, especially after the top 4 and Zacchaeus, clearly the 4th, but also not, a stud or anything like that. How really after the top 3, whatever you think about Quez, the depth does drop off at that position. It does feel like there's more opportunity to make the roster for a guy like Ngata than there has been in past years.
Yeah. And so, I will see what he does in preseason. My guess is he's going to get a ton of work. The quarterbacks, the backups really seem to trust throwing the ball to him. He's definitely their favorite receiver to throw it to. So we'll see him. We'll see him in Baltimore on Saturday night. If he has a big game and is good, he was a former #1 recruit. He did go to a big time program that's known for receivers. I do wonder if they'll be able to sneak him past waivers.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. All right. What else stood out today?
Man, I don't know if I'm just becoming obsessed with it, but it's just so weird to me. Rashad Penny is getting carries with the 3rd team. I can't get past it. Like, I understand that you're shuffling him in and out and all those things, blah, blah, blah. But ultimately he's been talked about as being the #1 running back on the team. John McMullen, props to him. I thought he made a good point on Twitter I wanted to piggyback off of. I've been pretty heavy on saying DeAndre Swift is going to be the starting running back. Gainwell is getting a ton of work with the 1st team. He's the starting running back in their 2-minute offense, in their red zone offense. Situationally, he's been out there. I'm now starting to think maybe I jumped the gun on Swift a little, and I don't think Kenny Gainwell is going to lead the team in touches this year, but he is looking like the starting running back out there. Now that we're 10 days into camp, he's looking like the guy they trust the most. Yeah.
Look, there's still camp to go and there's still time and all that. And like we talked about yesterday, part of it could be, learning a new playbook and all that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. You would hope that they have it down by now. But look, I think if the season starts and Kenny Gainwell's out there to start the season, I think a lot of people will be really surprised. I mean, obviously we could know by then based on, or have a feel for it. And look, I mean, he was the guy they trusted most in the playoffs last year by far. They had a Miles Sanders who was coming off a career year, a great year, got him paid. And I know Miles had a little bit of an injury thing and all that, but like they clearly trusted Kenny Gainwell more than him and more than Boston Scott in those playoff games. Like, that's not nothing in the most important games that this coaching staff or Sirianni on down, whatever, like ever coached. Like they trusted Gainwell. So it's notable.
I agree. And, I think it was Corey from Columbus maybe made this point on Go Birds Radio one day. Like they do have Trey Sermon's rights beyond this year. And I think that's a noteworthy thing I hadn't considered during the offseason. Gainwell's under contract. I believe Gainwell and Sermon are the only 2 under contract. And they actually complement each other really well with their game. So the running back position is a fascinating one to me. And when I'm out there, it's a day before, 2 days before the preseason. And Rashad Penny's talking about how he's excited to play on Saturday because he hasn't played in a long time. Like not many starters are going to play. So it'll be interesting to see among the running backs who doesn't dress or who gets the fewest amount of touches or carries.
I want to get to who you think's going to play and kind of what you think the vibe's going to be for Saturday night and all that. Was there anything else from practice today that you felt like stood out?
Not really. To be completely
Nakobe taking 1st team reps.
Oh,
my God. See, you're playing into it now. People think that it's only when the bad things happen for Nakobe, and then when good stuff happens, you mention it.
You're right. My bad. Nakobe was back. He was back with the 1st team. He took 1st team reps. He had returned to practice yesterday, wasn't doing team stuff, did it today. he talked after practice about like the fact they saw Miles Jack and Zach Cunningham. And to no surprise, he gave an answer that he just views it as an opportunity to learn from him. He doesn't view it as a threat to him. He embraces competition, all those things. So yeah, Nakobe was back today. So the comeback tour begins from the minor ankle injury from a few days.
Go get him, Nakobe. Prove everyone wrong.
Do it for
Prove
James.
Everyone wrong. Yeah, seriously, dude. Do it for
Imagine we're in Dallas in December and Nakobe's having an awesome year.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah. You might have to get a Nakobe jersey to wear.
Oh my God, I might.
Yeah.
I will. I'll do it. All right. Come up in a minute. I want to get into the preseason game. Who you think's going to play? Who's not going to play? What you think their plan is for the preseason in general? But first, download the Bet Park Sportsbook.
Do it.
Just do it. I mean, seriously,
we can do it together in Dallas too.
Yes. What a great point. Hey. I mean, if you want us to know you're a real one, like a real one, and we get to Dallas, like bang, Bet Park Sportsbook app, we'll be like, freaking love you, man, or woman, or whoever you are. It's gonna be awesome. But yeah, and like obviously we've talked about it so much, but like we are a month away from football today, less than a month from that Thursday game to start the season, but from Eagles football. And we're going to have so much fun all season picking these games. We go through the entire slate each week. We make our picks. We have a Go Birds parlay that we all do together. It's super fun. And in addition, there's all kinds of other stuff you can bet on, obviously. Baseball going on right now. Would have been nice to bet on the under on hits last night in Philadelphia. I could have meen it.
Well, you want to know why? Because it was a no-hitter.
That's right.
Yeah.
Baseball guy. But seriously,
I wonder if you can bet nightly on the odds of a no-hitter.
I don't think so. I doubt it. But like, I don't know. Maybe. But here's the cool thing. Yeah, that's the point. They have like basically, they might be able to because you can bet on everything. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Home runs, hits, individual performances. You get future bets. We're going to talk a little football futures at the end of this pod, talking about some pro football stuff you can get on, but you can bet on division winners. You can bet on who's going to win awards. You can bet on over-unders for players. There's all kinds of awesome stuff to bet on the Bet Park Sportsbook app. The app is intuitive. It's easy to use. It's fun. And again, more than anything, we're going to watch these games anyway. A little action on it. It just makes it so much more fun. So here's the deal. If you sign up now, new users, if you bet $10 and win your first bet, you get $125 in sportsbook bonus back. It is a great deal. Win $10 bet, 125 in bonus back. New bets and winning, new users and winning bets only. Details on betparks.com. Obviously, as always, you must be 21 in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, or Ohio. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Elliot, straight up, are the starters going to play in this first game? Do you think the starter, we'll get to the rest of the preseason, but game one, will the starters play? If so, which starters do you expect to play? Give us the breakdown of what you expect going in based on what you've seen and what you've heard.
So to no surprise, Sirianni didn't answer on Thursday if he was going to play his guys. I don't think we're going to find out until like an hour before the game on Saturday. Probably a bit by design. I'm sure the NFL doesn't want people to know none of these starters are going to play. We're going to watch anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm a little torn on it. If I had to like bet, my guess is they do not play. But he did play in the first preseason game last year. They're not doing joint practices before this game, before the Browns game and the Colts game, the next two preseason games. They will. So I don't think you will see Jalen at all in the next two. Would it shock me if he got one series? No, it wouldn't shock me. So I think
run, pass, get off the field.
Yeah, but then again, it's like, what's even the point of doing that?
Well, the worry too with that, exactly. The worry
he did get drilled in that game last year, remember?
Yeah. Well, and the worry with that too is like, what if he has a full drive? Just more opportunities.
Right.
Well, like honestly, I would almost just like run twice and take a shot in the end zone and see what happens.
Yeah, get him through the pregame reps, all those.
So the reason to do it, and I, personally do not subscribe to this because I just think, look, and I know it sucks for people going, and it sucks for, that the NFL, forces season ticket holders to pay for it and all these things and whatever it is. But like the only reason you put him out there is for the fans to see him on the field for a few minutes. And it's like, the risk isn't worth the reward, in my opinion. Like, I would not let those guys touch the field. I'm sorry. And I get it. It's frustrating. I get that there are people who don't get to go to regular season games, and this is their one opportunity to go to a game and all that stuff. But like, this team is trying to win a Super Bowl. And it's like, You just unless we don't think Jalen needs to go out there and get those reps in the preseason. I think there are guys who do, like Nakobe Dean. Yeah, I do think he should probably get a little action and just get a feel for where he's at, or certain guys like that where it's not a lock that they are deserving of the starter
They're
spot.
not proven players.
Yeah, but like I don't need to see Jalen Hurts. I don't need to see AJ Brown. I don't need to see Devontae Smith. Like I just don't need to see those guys. I don't want to see Jason Kelsey. I don't want to see Lane Johnson. Like,
and if you remember last year, like he did get drilled by that Jets player out of bounds. And Sirianni,
yes, I had forgotten about that. You're right. Yeah, that was like we were furious.
I mean, think of how different last year is if that hits Jalen.
Oh my God, I can't even.
So yeah, I agree. I wouldn't play any of them. The argument for Nakobe is I hope Nakobe plays. I want to see him play in a setting with pads and all that stuff. But I agree with you. It's like it's worked for the Eagles in the past. Sirianni's won every week 1 game he's played so far, 2-0. So he knows how to get him ready. But let me ask you this. The Ravens have won 24 straight preseason games. How much of this do you think is Sirianni? Like, do you think there's any shot that he'll take this one a little more competitive because of that?
No. I love your thought. And like, I'm sorry, any shot is not fair because Nick Sirianni is a maniac when it comes to competitiveness. So like, sure, I think there's a shot, but no, I think Nick has his eyes on the big picture.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm almost rooting for the Ravens. I think it's one of the most amazing, unbelievable, unexplainable, absurd, things going in sports.
It's just fluky. Like there's some stats.
I think it's partially fluky, but I think it's also like they must care more. Like they must try harder in preseason. Maybe like Harbaugh's thing is like, I care about this. Like you got to go out and play to earn your roster spot. Like, and he really impresses upon these kids who are fighting for roster spots. Hey, if you want to make this team, like you got to play good in this game or whatever. I don't know. Maybe he gets his guys more motivated for it. Like I agree with you. I think there is a level of luck or coincidence in there, but 24 straight is not coincidence. Like that is a big enough sample size to say that there is something else going on here. Wouldn't you agree?
I do ultimately agree. I do wonder if you're the Ravens, if you start trying to book opponents that are easy. Obviously with the Eagles, they're not doing that. The Eagles have a loaded deep roster. But I think at this point,
I don't think that they like, I don't,
you don't think they think about it? This is like, they get asked about it.
No, I'm sure they do, but I'm saying, I don't think they like, I think if the streak ends, they'll move on with their day and be okay.
So,
yeah.
Let me ask you this. Have you looked at the line for this game yet?
No, but I would assume that the Ravens are favored.
Yes. So you want to go through this?
Yeah, this is build our parlay. I like this. Yes, let's go through. All right, you have it open?
I have it open. Do you want to guess the stuff? Like,
yeah,
I'll say it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guess the spread.
Ravens by 2.5.
No, you're way off on this one. The first guess of the year, poor guess, 6.5 points.
So they're really taking this Ravens thing seriously.
They're really taking it seriously. So the money line, the
Ravens. 6.5 points for any. Do they have other preseason lines on there?
They do. Let me hit.
Is there anything more than like 3 or 4? I'm guessing no, right? Like I'm guessing
they're all. Yeah, I'm looking right now. They're all 2.5, 3.5.
That would have been my guess.
Yeah, that would have been my guess. Is easily the biggest line of the weekend.
That's my exact point. Like that makes all.
And the money line. I don't know if you want to guess this, but they're minus 265.
Wow. So what is the Eagles money line like? Plus
210.
I mean, that's so silly.
Should we do a parlay?
I mean, sure, it's a meaningless game that, I guess.
All right, so I think if we're going to do it, you take the Eagles money line.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, if we're going to do it.
Yeah, sure.
Over under 35.5.
Under.
All right.
Hold up. You do preseason games a lot more than I do. You pay attention. You remember. You're at them.
I think under.
Yeah, I think so too. I felt like they usually go under.
Although the Ravens might be.
I mean, think about how low 35. If it was a regular season Eagles Ravens game and it was 35, we'd be like, are both quarterbacks hurt? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. And look, Mariota has played a ton in the NFL. He's probably overqualified to be playing in this. So yeah, that gets you to plus 430. It's pretty good.
All right, we're doing it. Why not? It's preseason game. Have fun. Agreed. That's the whole point of what we do here. All right. Before we get to a division, quickly, your quick thoughts on who you do think we will see and want to see in this game. Yeah. Like when you're going into this game, like obviously there's a lot of bottom roster guys. There's a lot of and you just talked about Nagata and he's probably as low as we would go with this, but outside of that, like who are guys that, whether bigger names or lower names of the type of people we're talking about, who are guys that you're keeping your eye on tomorrow or
Well, I
Saturday
think
night?
the first one is all the rookies. Obviously, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Sidney Brown, Tyler Steen, McKee's going to play a ton. So the rookies clearly we're all going to watch. Jalen Carter will be the big name that will play. I would assume Nolan Smith. It'll be interesting to see how late into the game they play, if they're still have their shoulder pads on after halftime. Some other guys though, like we've talked a lot about the corners. I'm excited to see Eli Ricks in a situation where he's playing 30, 40 snaps in a row. I'm excited to see. We'll see how much Josh Jobe plays. He's been the top backup on the outside. The backup offensive lineman. Dennis Kelly, I'm assuming will play a little bit. He's a veteran. Backup defensive lineman, Teron Jackson, Marlon Tuipulotu is likely going to play. I'm going to mispronounce his name, but Ojamo, the guy they drafted out of Texas, super excited to see him. And then it's safeties like, again, Sidney Brown. So it's just mostly going to be depth guys that we've talked about. And I would just say like the top thing you always look for in this is who is not playing to start the game. And it'll be interesting to see outside of the 22 starters, if there's anyone else that is a surprise.
And also interesting because we don't know the 22 starters. Like it'll be interesting to see if there's a safety
play.
Or like Reed Blankenship or like those type of guys like that. I think we could have a really good idea after this game who in their eyes are the starting safeties, the starting linebackers, all that.
And the punters.
And the punt, yeah, absolutely. All that
stuff. Ty Zetner, we'll see how much Siposs punts. So there's definitely going to be things to watch for in this game. And
Ian Book versus Tanner McKee for that third quarterback spot.
Yeah, they're probably hoping Ian Book does. I don't know. They're probably hoping he does really well because they would want to trade him. But the tough thing about the preseason games is it's either building stock for people to trade or it's making them tougher to keep through waivers. So that's
you're right. It's a real balance.
That's what Howie's going to be watching for.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. All right, let's get to a little gambling before we get out of here. Unless you had anything else in the birds, I'm assuming no.
No, I'm good.
Obviously, we will be together again on Saturday before the game. Check us out. 1 to 3.
Yeah, that's right.
Obviously,
pregame action.
Little pregame action.
Not right before, same time.
Not right before, but yes. And then we'll obviously have some sort of reaction thing after at some point. All right. I figured today we've done the two divisions in the AFC that are tighter and both all have plus 100 odds or whatever. Let's do the two quote unquote gimmies. Because they don't always go the way you think.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited to see which ones you think are gimmies.
Yeah, well, I think the South and the West would be considered gimmies based on the odds, in the sense that one team is a massive
AFC,
favorite. Yeah, AFC South and West are the two divisions in the AFC with a massive favorite in each. Obviously, you don't need to guess it. The Chiefs are a massive favorite in the West, and the Jaguars are a massive favorite in the Central, to the point where there is no other team even above plus 300 in either division. Like they are a big favorite. So I want to basically we don't have to go through each of the odds or whatever, but I'll just tell you the Chiefs are minus 182 to win their division. Then the Chargers plus 375, Broncos plus 600, Raiders plus 1500. And then in the South, similar type odds without the highest of that, but the Jags are minus 167, the Titans plus 325, plus 650 for the Colts, plus 900. So simple question. If one of these two teams doesn't win the division, who's losing it, and what team are you betting on?
All right, so here are my two favorite bets. And as you know, and you bring it up a lot, I'm a quarterback head coach duo guy. That's how I make my picks. It's how I feel, weekly.
I think I know where one of these is guessing. Let me guess before you go. Go ahead.
All right, well, so I was going to do the West first.
Okay, I think you're guessing the Broncos. I think
plus 600.
I know.
I mean, look, they have a great defense. We know that. And Sean Payton, you can make the argument they're the second best head coach quarterback duo. Like Russell Wilson's not the second best quarterback. Herbert is. But it wouldn't surprise me if Wilson has a bounce back year. I think the Chargers have a terrible head coach in Brandon Staley. And I think the Raiders have maybe the worst coach in the NFL in Josh McDaniels. So I'm not picking either of them. The Broncos, I could see a bounce back year. They have enough pieces. They have talent. They have a good head coach again. I think that's the clear choice in that one if you're not going to bet Chiefs.
I think odds-wise, it's a great bet. I mean, again, you need Mahomes to get hurt, right? And then it's like, literally.
And I just don't trust the Chargers.
Yeah,
so.
And same. I think, and they're almost double the odds. I mean, it's plus 325 for the Chargers, plus 600 for the Broncos. I agree. I think the Broncos, and I don't even like the Broncos. If you ask me, do I think they're going to be good? No. But
they're also a good franchise.
In terms of odds and bets, it's not a bad one. I would just take the bad odds and bet on the Jags. I know they're not a sure thing or anything like that. I can't I could paint a scenario where Anthony Richardson is just awesome, right?
That would be my argument.
That would be the one, right? But like, not enough to bet on it for any of these other teams.
It's a shame the Titans don't have an interesting quarterback.
Will Levis not interesting to you?
I mean, second round.
Will Levis not interesting to you? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, really? With a second round pick doing just fine in Philadelphia right now, my friend.
It was surprising. But
I'm with you. I'm not a Will Levis. I'm not a Will Levis guy or anything. I'm just.
Well, let me ask you this: which would you pick, the plus 650 or the plus 900 of the Texans?
I would take the plus 650.
You would? Okay.
With the I mean, I like
Jonathan
Stroud,
Taylor
man.
thing.
You know what? I might take Stroud. No, Stroud was my favorite of those quarterbacks. So yeah, I'll take Stroud. No, that's a bad job on me. Plus, I think he's the most ready to. I think he's got a better chance to be good. Yeah, I would go Stroud. That's a good call.
So we're gonna go Texans plus 900.
Texans plus 900. Broncos plus 600. 2 bets guaranteed to lose.
2 winners as always.
Like we always do. All right, final thoughts.
I mean, after my final thought yesterday, I don't know how much more I have in me.
Good. Well, so I just assumed you had 2 because you went with the one.
Well, I gave
you
it
were
on
just
the last
in the spot.
one, yeah.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's why I didn't give the one. I just have a funny Zoe quote.
Yeah, I don't have one.
Well, first of all, Zoe is now. So you're not, we've talked about this. You're like a South Park fan, but not like.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the episode, for anyone who's a super big South Park fan, the episode where Gerald, Kyle's dad, where his farts, he starts the Prius thing and they all go to San Francisco and their farts end up killing the ozone layer and the world's threatened. It's a long one. But anyway, when they're driving around their Priuses, like all like the idea is like, we're so full of ourselves, we're saving the world. And they kept being like, oh, you're doing great in your Prius. And they keep going, thanks. Like, I guess when she was growing up, like Emily and I do it all the time. Like it's one of our, quote that thing. Yep. Like, oh, thanks. So now I guess just by osmosis or, by being with us, like we never, like Zoe now does it. And I'll be like, oh, nice job. I'm proud of you for doing that. She'll be like, thanks. And I'm like, what the hell is happening? So that's one, which is very funny. But I went to Zoe last night, or excuse me, 2 nights ago, I think it was. She, I can't remember what she did. Like, something that you tell your kids you're proud of that just every human does. But, when you're young, it's like, oh, I'm proud of you for taking a poop or whatever it is. But I was like, Zoe, I'm really proud of you. And she turns to me and goes, I'm proud of you too.
Wow. Look at that,
man. Thanks,
she must have known we were announcing Dallas. She knew it was coming.
Kids are ridiculous. All right. Coming out with us in Dallas. Obviously, we'll talk a lot more about it next week. We're going to get Joe from Fans of Philly on to talk about it, tell you more in detail about the trip. But, what details do you need other than we're going to be there?
Yeah, we're going to be there. We're going to be in Dallas. We're going to make bets. It's going to be a fun time.
All right. And of course, we'll be there on Saturday. Check us out 1 to 3 on WIP. Until then, he's Item James.
All right.